delighted to have the opportunity to speak in this debate. And I would like to begin by thanking and congratulating my colleague Bruce Crawford for securing this debate, and I'll take this opportunity to remind the Chamber that, as well as being the Parliamentary Liaison Officer to Cabinet Secretary, I'm also a member of the Musicians' Union and was formerly a freelance private instrumental teacher myself. As is so often the case when my colleague Mr Crawford speaks, for those coming after him, there's often very little left to be said. Mr Crawford brilliantly highlighted many of the fantastic achievements of Sistema, and I want to join Bruce Crawford in welcoming Big Noise to the gallery, and I'm looking forward to attending the reception later this evening. One of the words or terms that Bruce used was empowering for life, and that is what music education is. It is empowering for life. It was the great pianist and composer and conductor Sergei Rachmaninoff who said that music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is never enough for music. And I think that is so true. And I certainly know for myself, from having the opportunity to receive music tuition, it is something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. And I think at times we can perhaps characterise Big Noise and Sistema as being about more than just music. We know how fantastically integrated they are into our communities, the positive outcomes that result across a whole range of different subjects and disciplines. But I wouldn't say that's more than music. That is what music is about. It covers every aspect of cognitive development, of ability, of how we engage with other people. Indeed, learning an instrument in itself is a transformative experience. The skills that it teaches, not just the practical skills of learning to play an instrument, but of learning to listen to other people, to engage, of self-discipline. In our age of perhaps instant gratification, one thing with learning a musical instrument, there are no shortcuts to excellence. The more time you put into an instrument, the more you will get out of it. And indeed, perhaps the greatest joy of learning to play a musical instrument is having the opportunity to play alongside other people. Sometimes that can be in large ensembles, where you're working together as a team to produce an overall effect, and within that, there are opportunities for individuals to shine, and there are other opportunities when you're supporting other people. And there are opportunities when you're just having to step back and allow people to have their moment. And what a metaphor that is for how we engage and interact with other people. The cognitive development that music has, we often think about musical ability as being something to do with motor skills, but it's all what's going on inside the brain. There was a great concert pianist in the first half of the 20th century, Walter Gieseking, and Gieseking had the capacity to memorise entire works and perform them perfectly without ever practising on the instrument. He could get on a long train journey with the score of a Mozart piano concerto, and by the end of it, walk in and play a recital. And it speaks to something that the great Glenn Gould said, which is the best place to hear a Beethoven symphony is in your head, because then there's nothing else mediated in a sense. It's a pure experience. And there's actually neuroscientific evidence which shows that simply by imagining playing a musical instrument, changes occur in the brain. Indeed, changes can occur in the muscles in one's hand and embouchure as well. It's sometimes been advised that for singers, professional singers who are suffering from a particular sore throat, not to read and not even to think about speaking, because very subtly there's muscular changes that happen in the throat as well, and that can cause stress. So I just illustrate these examples about what a profound and transformative impact music has when one engages and learns in music. And that, for me, is just, and I could certainly speak at some length on this matter, as you may have been able to tell, but it's just one aspect of the which leads me to believe, and which I think helps to explain the tremendous transformative effect that Sistema has, a Big Noise project has. The very final point I wish to make, Presiding Officer, is this. Big Noise has been transformative for the individuals involved, the young people, the communities, and those who participate, the volunteers. But I think there's a bigger contribution it makes, and it underlines the value of music education and instrumental tuition. And I think when we see instrumental services under threat in certain parts of the country, that's something we should all bear in mind. And I just want to conclude by again joining with my colleague Bruce Crawford and wishing Sistema Big Noise a very happy 10th birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur.